I never thought a single text message could destroy a decade of trust. But there I was, standing in the middle of our living room, suitcase half-packed, as my wife, Emily, hurled accusations like daggers across the space that had once been our home. "You were going to leave me, weren't you?" she shouted, her voice cracking between fury and tears. "You were planning it behind my back." Her phone was in her hand, trembling. On the screen was an open message, one I'd sent to my brother the night before. "I don't know how much longer I can live like this. I'm thinking of leaving." It wasn't a plan. It was a confession. A desperate moment of honesty I hadn't had the courage to voice aloud. But Emily saw it differently. "Emily, listen to me," I said, my voice low but urgent. "I wasn't planning to leave you. I was venting. That's it. She cut me off with a bitter laugh. "Don't lie to me, Daniel. You were already halfway out the door." I took a breath, trying to keep my composure. "I've been trying to talk to you for months. You shut down every time I try. I love you, Em, but we're not the same people anymore. I just needed space to think." She crossed her arms, jaw tight. "You can have all the space you want. Get out." And just like that, 10 years together, 5 of them married, ended with a slammed door. I didn't fight her. I grabbed a few essentials, left the rest behind, and drove to my brother's place. The silence in the car was suffocating. My wedding ring felt heavier than ever. But beneath the heartbreak there was something else. A gnawing feeling that something didn't add up. Emily's reaction had been too explosive, too sudden. She'd gone from cold and distant to outright hostile overnight. And then there was her sister, Lily. Lily had been spending a lot of time at our house lately, helping Emily manage things while she took on extra hours at work. I'd always felt something uneasy about her. She was charming, quick with excuses, and always just a little too interested in our finances. Still, I never had proof of anything. Until the night I came back to grab the rest of my things. 3 days after the fight, Emily texted me, "Come get your stuff. I don't want it here." When I arrived, the house felt hollow, like the walls themselves had been emptied of warmth. She wasn't home, but the door was unlocked. I packed quietly, methodically. Then, while searching for my passport in the office drawer, I found something strange. A torn envelope from our joint savings account. The balance written in the corner was much lower than I remembered. Curious, I logged in on my phone. My stomach dropped. Over $30,000 was missing. Withdrawn in small amounts over several months. Every withdrawal was labeled home expenses. But Emily had never mentioned any big purchases. And one transaction stood out. A $2,500 transfer to an account under the name L. Jensen. Lily's last name. My heart thudded so loud I could barely hear myself think. I took screenshots of everything, every transaction, every date, every note. My hands shook as I pieced it together. Someone had been quietly siphoning money from our account. But the worst part? I couldn't tell if Emily knew. I went straight to my brother's that night, pacing his living room like a man possessed. "Dan, are you sure about this?" he asked, glancing at my phone. "Positive," I said, pointing at the screen. "Lily's been transferring money to herself for months. But Emily's signature is on the joint approval form. Either she's in on it, or Lily's using her access." He frowned. "You think that's why Emily blew up? Maybe Lily told her something." The thought hit me like ice water. What if Lily framed me to cover her tracks? It would explain everything. Emily's sudden fury, the baseless accusation, the way she pushed me out before I could look too closely. The next morning, I decided to confront Lily. She worked as a freelance designer, mostly from cafes around town. I found her easily, sitting by the window of our favorite coffee shop, sipping a latte like nothing was wrong. "Daniel," she said with fake surprise when she saw me. "Didn't expect to see you here. How's the exile going?" I forced a smile. "Funny you should ask. I've been doing a little accounting lately. Checking up on our finances." Her hand froze midair, the smile faltering just slightly. "Oh, yeah," I said softly, leaning in. "Tell me, Lily, what's L. Jensen doing with $30,000 of our money?" The color drained from her face. She tried to recover. "That's ridiculous. I don't know what you're." I slid my phone across the table. Screenshots. Transaction history. Bank logo. Her eyes flicked to the screen and back to me. "You don't understand," she stammered. Emily knew. She said it was fine. She told me it was for investments. My blood ran cold. You're lying. She said you'd already agreed. That it was part of your retirement plan. I almost laughed, but it came out as something broken. Lily, you expect me to believe Emily approved this without mentioning it once in 5 years? Her lip quivered. I needed the money, okay? Just a loan. I was going to pay it back. I stood up, heart pounding. You didn't just steal from me. You stole from your sister. Daniel, please don't tell her, she said, panic flooding her eyes. She'll hate me. She'll never forgive me. I paused, watching the fear spread across her face. That was when it hit me. Emily didn't know. Because if she did, she wouldn't have thrown me out. She would have hidden it. Controlled it. But no, someone had whispered in her ear, turned her against me before I could find the truth. And that someone was sitting right in front of me. That night, I sent Emily everything, the screenshots, the conversation, even an audio recording of Lily admitting to the theft. I didn't expect a reply. But an hour later, my phone buzzed. Emily, come over. Please. When I arrived, she was waiting in the living room. Eyes red, mascara streaked down her face. She looked smaller somehow, like the weight of her anger had collapsed inward. Is it true? She whispered. Yes, I said quietly. Every word. She's been draining our savings for over a year. And she framed me to distract you. Her lip trembled. She said you were cheating. That you'd been hiding money. She showed me messages, bank transfers, screenshots. Fake ones, I said bitterly. All faked. She must have forged them. She knew you'd believe her over me. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she buried her face in her hands. Oh God. Daniel, what have I done? I didn't answer. The silence between us said everything. After a long pause, she whispered. I told you to leave. I threw you out of your own home. Because I trusted her more than you. I swallowed hard. You wanted to believe her. Because it was easier than believing you were wrong. She nodded slowly. You're right. The air between us was thick with the wreckage of everything we'd built. 10 years of love, laughter, shared dreams, now poisoned by a lie. In the days that followed, Emily cut contact with Lily and filed a police report. The investigation confirmed everything. False documentation, identity fraud, unauthorized withdrawals. Lily had been using Emily's credentials to access the joint account. She was arrested 2 weeks later. Emily tried to fix things between us after that, apologies, long talks, even couples therapy sessions. But something fundamental had broken. Trust isn't a light switch you can flick back on once it's gone. I stayed at my brother's place for a few months, trying to decide whether forgiveness was even possible. Some nights I almost texted her back. But then I'd remember the look in her eyes when she told me to leave. The certainty that I was the villain in her story. That's what betrayal does. It rewrites your truth before you even realize it's happening. 6 months later, I stopped by the house to pick up the last of my things. Emily was there, waiting by the door, a faint smile on her lips. You look better, she said softly. Healthier. I feel better, I replied. Time helps. She nodded, looking down at her hands. I still love you, you know. I know, I said. And I'll always care about you. But love isn't the same as trust. She blinked back tears, then whispered. I wish I'd listened before it was too late. So do I. I turned and walked away. The sound of the door closing behind me final and hollow. As I reached my car, I looked back one last time. The house stood quiet, its windows reflecting the fading sunset. Beautiful but empty. Just like what we'd become. In the end, it wasn't the theft that destroyed us. It was the doubt. The moment my wife chose to believe someone else's lies over my truth. That was the real robbery. Because Lily might have taken our money. But Emily took something far more valuable. The trust that once made us us. And no amount of proof could ever buy that back.